Welcome to Texas Underground. I am your host, the one and only Black Lion. Hey, I know it's WrestleMania weekend, baby. We about to kick it off. We in draft month. We about to kick it off. It's the start of the new year for the league. We about to kick it off. Texas Underground. Let's go. Yeah, so, hey, hit the like, hit the subscribe button, comment, do all the good stuff. Hey, man, hit the notification bell. It's free. Who does not like free stuff? I mean, just hit the button. Like, how hard is that? Just hit the button. Just for the algorithm thing, so we can reach the people. We can reach everybody. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Reach the People. Shout out to Real Out Media. Y'all boys keep doing y'all thing. Hey, so Texas fans, what do you want to talk about? Well, we're going to make this quick. Hey, tell you what I want to talk about today. Real short, real sweet. We want to talk about number 12. What's so special about pick 12? So there's rumors going around, right, that Nick Caserio planning on possibly trading up. I can see that, and I also can see us possibly trading down. Something that came across my mind today was, how about if the team like Atlanta Falcons are sitting there and so happen that Will Levis is still on the board? Would somebody want to move to the Falcons pick at 7? That is where the question lies, especially if Will Levis is still there. So let's play with the assumption of the Atlanta Falcons being that team that possibly wants to trade back. I really honestly, truly believe that the order is going to go CJ, Bryce, Will. You will never see any of my mock drafts that are different like that unless I'm just doing a 7th round with the Texans and the computer picks, Bryce first, stuff like that. But if I'm doing all 32 teams, 1st round mock drafts, my order is CJ, Bryce, Will Anderson, 1, 2, 3, in the discussion. 4 and 5 is kind of where, I kind of start to defer, the different things. I still believe at 4 right now. My heart says Anthony Richardson is the guy in Indianapolis. That's why I feel Will Levis could fall. And I also don't believe, Colts fans and I know AFC South fans, we've been wondering which AFC South team is going to get Lamar Jackson. I don't think either of us are going to do it before the draft. If it does happen, it'll happen after the draft. We still have about 3 weeks to go, however many days it is to go at the end of the month to get to the draft. So, a lot of things will change, maybe Anthony Richardson kills the interviews. Who knows? Maybe, Will Levis finds a way to get this bad stigmatism off of him and he goes to Indy. But I really just don't think scheme fit wise, if Shane Steichen still wants to run that same scheme he ran in Philly, then he would go the Will Levis route. So with that being said, as I've stated, with the Falcons staying there, this would be prime position for the Texans to trade up at 7. Now, you say, well, you got the quarterback dropping. Why would a team that just drafted a quarterback be the one to trade up? Well, here's why. You have to get in front of some good teams that possibly would want a receiver, a pass rusher, a DB, whatever falls in that particular spot. Most of my mock draft, the only person I have fallen that far is Myles Murphy. As far as edge, I don't see Tyree Wilson getting past Seattle. I think he fits everything. I've also heard that Arizona is falling in love with Tyree Wilson. And, you know, Tyreek brings them a little something different. I think that Will Anderson is a better fit just based off of how they use Hassan Reddick. Gannon used Hassan Reddick. I think Will Anderson is a better prospect than Hassan Reddick was coming out of college. So I believe Will Anderson can develop to be a better pass rusher than Hassan Reddick. And that, you know, kind of speaks a lot. So far, the digging in, I have a similar, my comp to Will Anderson is Von Miller. If Von Miller hits his ceiling, I believe he could be a defensive player of the year, the offensive rookie of the year type player. If he hits his ceiling, that's why I say Von Miller. They both have the same lean body type. I think I would say that Will Anderson is a little bit stronger. But of course, you know, nobody has a bend like Von, but Will has the bend, has good hands, real quick first step. That's the major things you need as far as being a good pass rusher. So if Will Anderson does not go to Arizona, there's absolutely no way that he gets past 5. I might even, if I was the coach, I would be hard-pressed not to think about drafting Will Anderson over Levis or Anthony Richardson. But that's just me. I think Will Anderson is so far above, as far as a prospect, above those two guys. I would put it in this contest. Imagine if you could say 6 years from now that you have a pass rusher that's giving you at least 12 tackles for loss and like 15 sacks the next 3 years, right? Or fluctuating between, 10 and 15 sacks these next 3 years. Or you can have a quarterback that looks maybe in the same tier as Kirk Cousins, maybe, that bottom 15 from like that 18 to 20, 22 range. I mean, if you think that that's more important to have, go get Will Levis. If you think it's more important to have a pass rusher that could possibly, be the next guy that takes over for the Nick Bosa's, the Aaron Donalds, the TJ Watts, or whatever, you take Will Anderson. That's my opinion. The film backs me up on it. Stats back you up. The athleticism backs you up. The when you're looking at projection, when you see what Von Miller did in Texas A&M, and you see how he was, and how you see how he loved the game of football and he kept growing, you see that same thing from Will Anderson. You never hear anything bad about him. That is what is what's going to separate them. Then like I said, if that's the case, you have Miles Murphy at 7. So is Miles Murphy worth possibly trading, in my eyes, to move from 12 to 7? I would say the best thing for us to do would probably be to give up the one next year. I would say try to trade the Cleveland pick and then give up maybe a 4th or a 5th, just so you don't have to give up so much capital. If not, if you really want to try to, finesse the game, I've been hearing people are saying that they love the 2s in this draft. If you give up 33, knowing that you still have draft capital, or you ask them to send you back a 3rd or some type of, switch round type deal, that may be something that you possibly could do. You have to kind of sweeten the deal. The reason why I have said that the Falcons could be that team to trade is because they are 100% behind Desmond Ridder. And if you're the Houston Texans and they feel that, and you keep hearing these people say smoke screens, people say whatever it is, but if it's out there, it's out there, and we got to take for what it is. And what's out there is that to go in and support their guy. What do they need? They need Jordan Addison. They need a guy like Jackson Smith and Jigba. That's what they need as far as offense. Defense, I love Miles Murphy being in that system, but I also think there's a player that they could get later that will help them a little bit better than Miles Murphy could. I think their run defense is fine. Miles Murphy is more of an edge setter, run stopper, could probably play inside at a 5 technique, and play. Of course, he could play outside, play the 9. He could play, I believe he probably could play even the 3 with his size, maybe. So he gives you a little bit more versatility, but I'm going to talk about that later. Again, what makes this so great about the Texans is you're going to be the team that has the ability to set the market for the receivers, which is exactly what happened last year when the Lions traded up and got Jameson Williams. It started a trend. Everybody started trading up, getting receivers. You could be that. You have the draft capital. That's why I say the 1st might be what it takes to get it, because I think you will have other teams like the Commanders, possibly Green Bay, if they trade Aaron Rodgers, and, we haven't heard that they're 100% behind Jordan Love. So, again, 7 could be the spot where, the Houston Texans could be where a team would actually be willing to trade back. I don't think Seattle will be willing to trade back. We keep hearing about them going up to get Tyree Wilson. Again, like I said, Tyree is not falling past Seattle, and Will Anderson is either. Is one of those guys are getting drafted in between a quarterback. Then, so after we get past 7, and let's say the trade doesn't happen, and let's say they go ahead and they do pick the defensive end, or they pick the corner. So I believe now there's a push for 9 to get Jackson Smith and Jigba for Justin Fields. The consistency behind everybody that does my draft and speaks on the Bears is absolutely get Justin Fields protection. That's what it is. Everybody wants to get Fields protection. and I'm 100% with that. Peter Sherwanski should be the guy. He's the better fit. Perry Johnson is more of a pure tackle. I don't think he's a guy that can move. Peter gives you the versatility to move guard, tackle. I understand it's real early to probably be plugging a rookie in as a guard, but you have to understand that these types of guys don't grow on trees. I believe he has the Trent Wharf, Tampa Bay type ceiling where he could be considered one of the top 5 best tackles. I think the top tackles in this draft are very, 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 very good. I won't say that all of them will be superstars, but I think all of them could hold down, at least get a second contract. So that's telling you at least getting good 8-9 years, barring any major injuries to the guys like Jones, your guy from Ohio State, Paris Johnson. You have Peter Sherwanski. You have Harrison, who I believe is more of a pure. I think his best fit would be Cincinnati. Broderick Jones could possibly be in Tennessee Titans. I think that would probably be a fit for him, as well as Darrell Wright. Anybody that needs a right tackle, like the Bengals, Darnell White from Tennessee. Then you got the Jones from another right tackle. I believe he's more of a pure right tackle. You possibly could throw him at guard, but I wouldn't put him on the left side, the Ohio State right tackle. So that's what you got there. So when we get to 12, you're looking at possibly losing out on receiver at maybe 2 positions. I've also seen some mocks where they had tight end Dalton Kincaid going to Atlanta. I think that would be crazy for Atlanta to do, since they just drafted Kyle Pitts, unless they just feel they have to kick Kyle Pitts outside because he's being underutilized as a tight end. I think that would be the only reason why they would go tight end, is that they feel like he could be a better Z than a F or H. I mean, to me, the dude is a special talent. You drafted him, so you need to find a way to give him the ball. I mean, it is what it is. Your offensive coordinator pushed for that position. Your offensive coaches push for that position. I'm the owner. I'm telling you to find a way, because y'all are the ones that wanted this guy over the likes of a lot of good players. So make it work. Last year you got Drake London. So, you need a quick inside guy. You have your jump ball guy. You have your downfield guy. Both of them downfield guys, Drake London and Kyle Pitts. So, offensively, you could use a running back. You could go Bijan, but I don't think you have that luxury. Just kind of like us, the Texans, Bijan would be a very, very good pick. But do we have the luxury? Yes, because we got another first-round pick, but it's hard to justify it, and I get it for the Falcons. But that leaves me at 12 with where I keep going, and I keep saying I believe that, truth be told, there's no way that none of the receivers are not sitting there at 12. The problem is, the team that really, really worries me is not Chicago and not Atlanta. It's Tennessee. Philly doesn't really bother me too much either as far as receivers, because I don't think they would spend the first round. I really think they're going to take that as a luxury pick. Me personally, I think Brian Branch would be the best selection there. So, I mean, for me, Brian Branch and Bijan Robinson are the two that I would think that I really would push for. Oh, and Witherspoon. I'm sorry about that. Witherspoon, to kind of, maybe fill another role. I mean, to me, Brian Branch would be way better because he can play every position. And I don't know if you'll be able to count on Bradbury again. But you have to fill that Chauncey Gardner spot. So that's why I say Brian Branch. So again, in with that being said, you're sitting there at 12. Tennessee is pretty much the team that you have to worry about because they're not happy with Treylon Burks. They need a receiver, but which receiver would they like over the other? I don't think they would go Zay Flowers because I don't think they would want a receiver that is smaller in stature, that they have to find ways to get the ball because they have to do that with Treylon Burke. I think they just want somebody that can go out there, run a route, win their matchup. And it's only two guys at this spot that they can pick. That's Jordan Addison, and that is Jackson Smith-Njigba. Jackson Smith-Njigba, after film study, a lot of watching, he is now my number one receiver. My number two receiver now is Zay Flowers, and number three is Jordan Addison. I moved Quentin Johnston down. I still think he's a hellified athlete. I really worry because of TCU. They do not ask you to run that much of the route tree. A lot of his stuff came from Max Duggan making plays and having to do stuff and Jackson, Johnston being able to just get open. And you're not going to see too many Big 12 DBs in the top, top 70. I don't really think it's really any real big, big time DBs coming out from the Big 12. So, who did he really go up against that could just handle him and give him a challenge? And when he went up against Kellen Ringo in the championship game, the game speaks for itself. So I moved him down. I still think he's a bona fide player. I just don't think he's a fit for us because, one, he's not even a decent run blocker. I think he gives effort to try to run block, but I don't really see like he really wants to run block. Jordan Addison showed that in Pitt that he would get nasty and dirty. Jackson Smith-Njigba, again, I don't see the run blocking from him either, but he gives us something that I think what people are not really paying attention to is the fact that he can play X and Z. He can play both. I think Robert Woods would be more your Z, and Jackson Smith would be your X. And then whenever you want to go into your three receiver personnel, you can then bring you can bring Jackson Smith into the slot. So from what I've understood, D'Amico said he want to get the ball out quick. He wants to get the ball into his playmakers' hands. So the whole San Francisco offense and what they do is being replicated and coming here. It's not something that we have not seen before. Kyle Shanahan's been the offensive coordinator here. Gary Kubiak is one of the founders of this with Shanahan's dad, with the system with the zone stretch, West Coast system with the naked boots and the deep overthrows, the deep over routes, and running a lot of post routes on the backside of a flood concept, or running a post route on a backside of a stick, any kind of stick concept to the opposite side. As well as, sometimes they even do it with the levels concept. I've seen that happen. I think football broke that down with, I can't think, if I find a video, I'll tag them in it so you can see it. But I can't exactly remember what school it was, but they did a breakdown where you use the flood concept to open up the backside post. And it worked extremely well with the aggressive defense. I wish I could remember the two schools, but basically the teams come in a tight, I would call, it was a shotgun, a tight wing formation. So they had a single receiver left side. You had your tight end in tight, but standing up with your receiver in tight. The levels concept is your receiver comes and runs a drag, right? The tight end runs the deep end over the top, and then you have your running back, either you play fake it or you then have him immediately go out to the flats, where you're attacking the levels of the middle of the field. Preferably, you would want to see, as a quarterback, you would want to see this open up in a cover two look, two safeties high, middle field open, because now you know if this safety on this side, if he happens to sit or he gets, the wandering eyes, that post, once he crosses his, that first safety face, if he crosses his face, then and he stays down, you have something. And that's what happened exactly. You had the two safeties high. The guy ran the deep post, crossed his face. This guy set, which, if you broke down the defensive film, it may look like they try to go from an open to a closed cover one robber set, where your safety is high, deep third, and then your strong or your free, really your strong safety comes down and plays the hook to curl, which will, have basically a cover, two people covering three people covering two men with that levels concept. But to me, it looks like a cover two. The safety doesn't come, doesn't go back, stay high. He comes down. That post gets across that face. He passes him off. Boom, he hits it. Touchdown. Again, the quarterback also did a good job using his eyes. I believe they ran like a play action with the running back. He actually stopped, didn't get out to his route. He actually chipped the end. It was beautiful play calling, beautiful set. They probably set that up throughout the game and may have seen something in film. I really wish I could remember, but Think Football was the ones that I've seen that on Instagram. That was an amazing breakdown. And like I say, that's what I want to give you guys. That's something that I pride myself on. Actual, not just sports talking, but the actual, play on the field, what we see. Because, some fans don't understand what hook curl is and how far that drop is. Curl flat. What is curl flat? Who plays in curl flat? What disguises, how does that change the coverage when you say curl flat or hook curl? Those things matter, especially when you are the quarterback and you're trying to, see what's what. So, like I said, back when we're going to the 12th overall pick, Jackson Smith-Njigba gives you that ability to also be the Z on the flood side, if we're using that play, or be the X on that post side. And because of his quick abilities, his natural feet and quickness, there's so many things that you can do off of a set like that in that personnel. And I get, people pushing Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers is a hellified athlete. I want to say this was maybe November, where I identified him as possibly being a guy that could be taking the world by storm. At at first I initially thought maybe third round guy because of his body type and where he played at in Boston College, but scouts have pushed him up the board, and they're real surprised at the things that he does on the field. And a lot of that stuff you cannot teach. I've always said punt return and kick return is a natural field. Not everybody can do it. Just because you run a 4.2 does not mean we can put you back there and you gonna return punts. Returning punts and returning kicks, you have to have a special knack to understand how to stop and start, and be able to go from 0 to 15 and then from 15 to 80. Like, you have to be able to have that ability, and you have to be able to see lanes. You have to have very, very good field vision. Those are things that matter as far as returners. Now, like I say, with 12, that's, receiver is where I would say go. We should double dip as far as offense, because I think that the best value there is at receiver at that point. And if you have to trade up, 7 would be the possibility to trade up. Now I'm going to flip to something that I'm going to throw out there. I've thrown this out there a few times. Somebody asked, well, if you can't get the receiver, or if you can't get the receiver and you think they want to go defense, if you have to go defense, who do you want? I like Myles Murphy. I like Van Ness. I see Van Ness being every down lineman. I don't think he's going to be a guy that's going to, give you Nick Bosa stats or anything, or Joey Bosa stats like that. I think he's maybe an 8.5, 7.5 type sack guy, maybe a high tackle for loss guy. But I think you could get a player similar to him later. Myles Murphy, I think you could get a player similar to him that may have a little bit, offer you a little something else. That's just me. So with that being said, the next best value at this position will be corner, because none of the corners have came off the board. You will have the pick of your litter. My number one corner is Joey Porter Jr. Joey Porter Jr. fits everything that D'Amico wants to do and like to do, because when he gets fed up, he's going to press man across the board, and he's going to make you have those receivers beat him off the line. He's coming at your quarterback. Now, granted, he did have Joey Bosa on that defense, so he had, a player like that to do that, to trust his secondary like that. But to me, we're just going to go AFC South, right? What receivers from Indianapolis scare you? Pittman, I think Stingley with Pittman is good. They don't have another one. What about Jacksonville? They getting Calvin Ridley, really? Them two don't scare me. Tennessee, Traylon Burke, doesn't scare me. So now you're talking about locking down the receiver spot with these two guys, and then you have somebody like Jimmy Ward that has played corner and safety, and you can, literally he's an awesome teacher and leader in the locker room. Then you have a guy like Jalen Petrie, who we know you can place him anywhere. He can roam. And you have Trayvon Smith, and you have Nelson as well. Nelson will become like my swing guy every other play, come in and out, keep fresh legs guy. The reason why I say this, go corner, is because Nelson, I don't believe I'm offering him another contract after this year. I'm more likely, even if he does play super well, I would more likely want him to walk, just because, if he does play super well, I think compensatory pick wise, we could get like a 4th round pick for him, because he'll probably get paid to go somewhere for, a team that, that needs another corner to, be a playoff contender or whatever. Say if the Bengals, they find out their issue was corner and they need another corner, and maybe they overpay, whatever. But I will let him walk. Now you have Joy Porter there to step into it, and you have your defensive backfield set and locked for the next 5 years for real. Now, the question, and that even helps with the question of Stingley being injury prone. If he does get hurt again, you still have you have a cornerback that could be number 1 if he doesn't already take over that number 1 spot. And Joy Porter fits everything that D'Amico likes. Physical guys, big guys. He's not he loves to tackle at the point of attack. He fights through hands. He fights through the ball. There's a lot of times where he would get caught on, but he would continue to punch at the ball, and the ball comes out. That's why he's the next pick for me. And in my last mock draft, I had Joy Porter going at 12, and I had him going at 12 because a lot of weird stuff happened. I had Anthony Richardson and Will Levis both fall at 12. Then secondly, at 12, if that was to happen, I also would like to trade back and get more draft capital, especially another 2nd round, maybe even a 1st. Definitely a 1st if we can get another 1st next year, because I really would want Marvin Harrison Jr. On this team. So that is this is episode 11. Thank you again. I wanted to get this out. Talk to y'all later. Peace, love, happiness. Texans, underground, stand up.